everyone. I'm David Wisner, and welcome to this episode of This Day and Age. My guest today is Lydia Chatziiakovou, who is the co-director at ArtBOX, downtown Thessaloniki. We will be discussing her impressions of how Greeks are coping with the current coronavirus crisis. We'll also discuss some of her activities at the ArtBOX and one of the new projects they're about to launch right here in the midst of the crisis. Lydia, welcome to the program. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, thank you for having me, first of all. I'm Lydia Chatziiakovou. Sorry, the pronunciation is always a bit tough. And I'm a curator and co-director of ArtBOX, Creative Arts Management. ArtBOX is a very small endeavor of two people, myself and Christos Savvidis, who is the founding director, and he founded the company in 1999. What we do is contemporary art projects, from the concept to the implementation, organization, and the final reporting, let's say. A few years ago, when the crisis started in Greece, the financial crisis that started more than 10 years ago now, we started shifting our practice from like the typical traditional exhibition making to art for social change practices, because we felt that this was, we could not but respond to everything that was happening in Greece, and also give tools and a framework for the creatives based in Thessaloniki to also be able to respond to what is going in their city and in their country, not only, and beyond, of course, not only through representation of the facts or daily life, but also through raising awareness and taking steps into bringing change in society, improving people's lives.
What sort of, let's say, target audience do you envision with these projects you're discussing now, the ones that you've been doing since the crisis, the sovereign debt crisis began in 2009? You know, what is your target audience here in Thessaloniki?
Well, it's mostly two target groups, communities of interest, let's say, the creatives, artists, and the creative scene of the city, and also certain communities that are facing crisis. Communities in geographical, let's say. One example of this has been our project L'abattoir, which was based at the old slaughterhouse of the city, and that was organized in partnership with the municipality and thanks to a grant from the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. L'abattoir was begun almost as an idea and with preparatory pilot projects in 2015. And the actual project took place for 2 years between 2017 and 2019. The focus there was art for social change again, and training for young creatives on the one hand, but also the activation of the area around the slaughterhouse, which is a problematic area for those from Thessaloniki. They are more or less familiar with it. It's an area that the municipality has always tried to gentrify in a way, to move kind of the business center of the city there, or begin some kind of activity. It has a lot of empty spaces and nightclubs. Also, the any legal prostitution of the city is kind of concentrated there. But in all of that, there are also businesses, healthy businesses that are operating, and a lot of people living there.
Okay, so it's a really very interesting space to try to organize projects in. You mentioned your partnership with the municipality of Thessaloniki. You're involved also with other local partners. Could you tell us about the people you work with most frequently at the ArtBOX?
Well, we've been working, in the past we worked a lot with the museums of the city. In the past few years, though, we've had a really good collaboration with the Goethe Institute, who is a German organization on the one hand, but on the other hand, the local Goethe Institute is very much interested in what is going on locally. They don't focus mostly on supporting like German culture, but mostly the local culture and engaging with the creatives and the public. And also, we had a really long and good collaboration with Hellexpo. We did a European program with them, as with Goethe Institute, Artesitia, and we organized for 3 years an art, science, and technology festival. And right now we are continuing our collaboration with those two and other partners from abroad with our new project, which is called Common Lab, and is based on the experience of the Laboratoire project.
Okay,
It's
so we'll
part
get
of
to that in just a minute, but maybe you'll share some general impressions about how your partners and your target audience are coping with the crisis, and how Greeks more generally are dealing with the fact that they are being requested to stay home and not mill about and not celebrate the Easter holiday that's coming in a week or two. What are your impressions about how Greece is managing?
Well, I think that Greeks, the people, have been very disciplined. That is rare for them, but they started self-isolating, social distancing, whatever you want to call it, even before it
Staying
was
home.
even before it was really imposed. Even before it became a kind of rule that everybody needs to. We didn't have the lockdown from the government.
Okay.
And I think this shows that when, things get tough, we are ready to respond and take care of ourselves and others in a kind of solidarity spirit. I'm not so confident that our government knows exactly what they're doing, but this is another issue.
That's for another program, right?
Yeah. No, in general, I think that Greeks reacted well to the whole situation. And I hope that we keep this going for at least another couple of weeks, not celebrating Easter in the, common traditional way. Maybe for some people it's a blow, but in the long term, I think that, religion is not really always about the church and
Okay,
about
now
ceremonies.
you've mentioned that you're about to launch a new project, and before we start with a description of the project, can you tell me how you're actually able to work, how you're able to coordinate the different partners that you're working with?
Well, it's not that tough, to be honest, because some of our partners are anyway abroad, like the Institute Hyperwerk for Post-Industrial Design or Goethe Institute in Brussels and the whole network that we're launching also called Freiraum. And we are a very small team anyway. It's Christos Savidis, Sotiris Bakhtedis and myself. We are the core team of ArtBOX. Sotiris is anyway based in Athens, and also we all travel a lot, so we are used to working from Skype. And lately we're working a lot also with the artist Eli Chrysidou, who again is part of a small team, and we can just coordinate through Skype. It's
So
not
in a
the same.
sense, you're not really required to adapt your practices very much.
It's not the same because I'm used to going to the office every
Okay.
day, and but we have been working as a team for many years now.
Okay.
And I don't know, the way the art world works anyway is a lot more adaptable and flexible. Anyway, we are freelancers. I think that a lot of freelancers were quicker to adapt because that's what we
Okay,
do.
and it's a part of your credo. If you can't move fast, someone else will get there first. Tell us now, finally, I'm breathless. I need to know what you're doing with this Common Lab project, which you're launching just now.
Well, Common Lab was supposed to launch anyway in March, a few weeks ago. The core mission of the project is to create a manual for social innovation through art. It is based on our experience from Laboratoire, as I said, and it is also based on the practices of art for social change, commoning, and post-industrial design.
Okay.
The idea was to build a series of pilot activities in Thessaloniki, again with creatives and with communities that we are working with. and to propose and to also build pilot projects abroad in order to feed into this manual that would be in 2 years when the project ends, a kind of toolkit for communities or artists or organizations and institutions, public or private, to build projects that respond to crises they are facing. It's very ambitious, as you can understand, but now, since we couldn't, when our mission is to create a manual for social innovation through art and help communities that are in crisis, when a crisis like this happens, like the coronavirus and pandemic and all that, you can't but not respond. It would be hypocritical to say, okay, now we'll pause everything and we'll come back when everything is open. No, I think that, and this is, we are in a way lucky, even though it sounds a bit ironical, that we have this field now to work with.
Okay.
So our idea is we are starting, we will launch our first project soon with Eli Chrysidou as an artist and invited experts. That will be a kind of online platform workshop with several cycles of participants of around 30 people each time, from Greece and from abroad. And the discussion will be not only to think about what is going on right now, but also and mostly to prepare for the day after.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the day after. That's the essence of this new series of podcasts that we're producing here. What do we imagine the day after is going to look like?
Well, I think that our impulse as human beings will be to go back to how things were.
Okay.
And this is also in the heart of what we're doing. I think that we should really be very critical on what is going to happen next and organize ourselves to imagine alternative futures, taking into account the current situation and what caused it.
Okay.
The causes, of course, are so many, and this has so many layers, and it affects the collective and the individual and the society and politics and financial issues that I don't have one answer of what we can do. I don't think that anybody has one answer.
Okay.
Just trying to be a bit more conscious of the situation, of our daily practices, I think it's a start. And the lockdown forces us to do this, consciously or not. But discussing this with other people and building small nucleus of reaction and discussion, I think it's one step.
Okay. You're a curator. You're trained in the fine arts. Why would I come to you for original thinking about the post-virus period? What does a person with your training have to offer that someone else doesn't? That's a trick question. I apologize.
No, I think it's easy. Artists, creatives, curators, that's what they do. They think out of the box, if you want me to use a very,
out of the box.
Because thinking critically about society and what is going on around us is what artists do, regardless of their practice, regardless of if they're doing painting or art for social change or whatever.
Okay.
Thinking about what is going on and interacting with it and reacting to it is what artists do.
That's what you do. So there's nothing really totally original about this new activity and the fact that we're in a crisis. We're almost always in a crisis, are we not?
The way maybe that you decide, the art that you decide to do is another issue. But the artists are, I think, the ones that, like scientists, they're equally creative.
Okay, this is great. Now, you don't operate in a vacuum. Where do you go for inspiration, particularly these moments where we're starting to call into question where we've been, where we're going? Where do you derive your personal inspiration?
Well, the team that I work with mostly. I mean, in a sense, right now, online, there is too much inspiration.
Okay.
There is so many material and content offered that I think people get lost.
So you need a filter, so to speak.
You need a filter. That's also partly what we will try to do with our workshop, this new project that we will begin soon. And I think that discussing with the people that I work with is mostly what gives me, the inspiration I need to go on. And I hope that they feel the same.
One hopes so. Well, I know that I feel that way when I see you guys organizing some event or an activity or hosting some conference and launching a new project. I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing sitting here? I've got to get moving. I've got to do something as well. So now just remind the audience, if you will, where you're based here in Thessaloniki, where you carry out your principal activities.
Well, our activities happen in we don't have like a place where we show things. Okay. Depending on the activity, we choose the right place. Now, more often, we use the Goethe Institute, of course, because they are the organizers of our project. They're the partners behind it. Also, Hellexpo, we need a bigger space. Depending on the activity, we also choose the venue.
Okay, so you are a little bit like the Dukakis Center in that sense. You move from place to place where you find your best opportunity, where you're able to reach out and interact with your public. It's a rather inspiring idea. The slaughterhouse is at the old fort, as you mentioned previously, and that's where you carried out a certain number of activities most recently. And I just want to remind the audience that this new project, Common Lab, will be coming to you when exactly? When is the premiere date?
In the next 2 weeks, I think we will announce the open call for this, the how-to project, okay. And people can find out about it through our social media or our website.
Okay, so the website is, please?
For ArtBOX, it's artbox.gr.
Artbox.gr, and you have a Facebook page.
We have a Facebook page, which is also artbox.gr. If they look for that, they will find us.
Okay, this has really been excellent and inspiring, and I can't wait to meet face-to-face and attend your next event. So I want to thank Lydia Chatziiakovou for being with us today, and remind our audience that the purpose of this series of video podcasts is to draw attention to some of the original thinking being done by my Greek colleagues, mostly in Thessaloniki, but not only, about where we are and where we're going and what the post-coronavirus world will look like. So thank you very much once again, and we'll be signing off now. Thank you.